Josh here. Hello and welcome to the Weekend Handyman. Today we'll be working on the big red Jeep. Hasn't been used all winter. Because it hasn't been a real bad winter this year up here in New England, but still gotta protect it from the salt devils. So gotta pull it out, stretch its legs a little bit, doing an oil change, and I gotta start working on a few other things that I got planned. Alright, I know it wasn't very impressive, but that's the best I could do in the backyard without, going somewhere. But next on the list of things to do is I gotta do the yearly oil change on this, and then I gotta get started on an onboard air system. Stay tuned. I'll bring you back if anything interesting happens to the oil change. I'm not really expecting much interesting to happen with oil change. It's just an oil change. If you need to learn how to do an oil change, there's another video on the channel from one of the other participants. Actually a couple. There's a version of an oil change on a Honda CR-V, I think, and there's a version of oil change for a TJ Wrangler. So you can go around and find those videos if you really need to learn how to do an oil change, but if you're watching this video, you probably don't really need to learn how to do an oil change. It almost turned out badly. And then it did turn out badly. It's the first time I've done an oil change since it's been this tall. And I ended up missing the pan when it got down to the end. Oh well. Alright. So the goal is going to be to create an outboard air system using the stock AC compressor, which is right over there. Now, this is nothing new. It's been done before plenty of times. I'll leave some links into the description of some good resources that I use to put together my system and learn how it all works. But to start with, I have to remove all of the factory AC components besides the AC compressor itself, so that I can wire up and plumb up an onboard air system, which, the AC compressor is going to get turned into an air compressor. They function the same way, except one just compresses refrigerant, the other just going to compress air. So, there's a canister thing over there, there's some piping over here. I'll end up removing the condenser setup, which is behind the grill here under the top plate. So let's get started. And actually first I'll show you all the parts and pieces that I'll end up using in the end to put it all together. Alright, and these boxes are most of the parts and pieces that you'll end up needing, including the tank that I have. And also, as a general update, that is a gas tank skid plate right over there. You can kind of see it in there. It's bare metal right now. I'll have to clean it up and paint it, but it's a JCR off-road one. On top of that, I do have in the mail coming a rear bumper to match my front one, And I have a tire carrier that I'm going to have to figure out how to mount on it, because it's a tire carrier, or a DIY tire carrier from a different company. But I liked the style of tire carrier and I liked the style of bumper. But I'll have to figure out how to make them work together. Shouldn't be too bad. Something should only take a little bit of fabrication, but anyways. Back to all these parts pieces. I'm just going to go over them kind of quick. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You can read the threads that I'll leave in the description. I'll show you better information. Obviously I have a tank. It's just an Napa 5-gallon one. The only reason I want the 5-gallon tank is because that's what I ended up having. Obviously you need some air hose. This is stuff that I bought in bulk from Fastenal. And then this box is all the main pieces. This is an air filter that'll go on the intake of the intake side of the AC compressor anyways, to filter out any chunks of crap anyways it might suck up. As well, this is probably the most important part, is the lubricator. No matter what, you need some kind of lubricator or else you'll kill your AC compressor. Refrigerant naturally is the form of lubrication that the AC compressor normally would have, or we're removing all the refrigerant. So, to keep the AC compressor happy, we need to install an inline lubricator. This is technically for tools, air tools. You'd normally run it after your regulator on an air compressor system, but before you plug it into your tools, so it lubricates them for you. However, I'm going to use it to add lubricant to the intake side of the AC compressor so it doesn't die. This is then a filter to then remove the oil that I just used to put into the AC compressor. This is for after the AC compressor though, because I thought about it and I could have just let the oil permeate through the entire system, but I decided I didn't want to have all that buildup inside of my tank of oil and stuff, so I went and found a decent coalescing filter that will remove any of the oil that comes out the outtake side or output side of the AC compressor before it goes into the rest of the system. This is a distribution block for an air setup. I'll use this as an input, and then this will be the main output, and then anything else I need to control the system will get plugged into here. For instance, this is a safety blow-off valve. This one goes off at 140 psi. So if, say, this switch doesn't work, this will just blow off to relieve any of the extra pressure. And this is a switch. It goes on at 90 psi and turns off at 120. And then a piece that I forgot is the check valve. Now this goes directly after the output of the AC compressor and is basically just a one-way valve. So it allows air through this way, but won't let air go back out that way. So that way, when I'm using the outboard air system, I don't have any leakage back out through the compressor itself. This stops all that, and as long as all of my fittings and whatnot on the rest of the system don't have any leaks, it won't ever leak any air out. And then to make it all work together, I have a box of a whole bunch of different fittings. There's a bunch of different barb fittings, like this, and there's a couple of different couplers and reducers and whatnot. I won't go through everything that I have, but there's a lot of stuff in there. So, that's all that. Let's start by taking apart my stock AC compressor system, which, if you're wondering, I'm not making waste of my AC system. It doesn't work anymore. I believe the AC compressor is still good, but all of the refrigerant and stuff that was in the system has probably leaked out, so it doesn't work anymore. But we'll see. Alright, so at this stage of the game, I have the accumulator tank over here removed. These lines are cut off and capped for now. This is just a fitting, not a fitting, but an electrical connection that goes into the accumulator. And then I have also cut the lines that go into the AC compressor, which, if you're wondering, you can just use one of these pipe cutting thingamadoodlers, and that'll just get cut for you nice and easily. So, next up is to remove this top plate so I can have access to the condenser coil setup that's in the front of the radiator, but under the top plate. For now, I've just kind of tossed my unused AC components off to the side here. So, let's have back at it, or get back at it. Alright, so removing this without removing the radiator was a little bit of a challenge. I ended up just cutting the AC lines off this side, so hopefully now it'll just slip right out. As you can see, I kind of made a interesting cut, but it's a cut. So technically speaking, I didn't actually need to remove that AC compressor, or condenser coil rather. It could have just been left there, no problem. But I figured I'd remove it, as it, was just going to be kind of sitting there uselessly, and it'll, I guess, save a little bit of weight, considering the fact I removed everything else anyways. And like I said, the AC didn't work, and it will afford a little extra cooling because it's not blocking the air going through the radiator. And eventually I will have a winch mounted on the front of there, so that'll do a good job blocking air anyway, so I might as well remove the condenser coil so I don't block any more than I need to. Next up is I just gotta remount the radiator in there and then fish out the leftover AC line over here. I'll probably end up bending it up like spaghetti, feeding it through, but whatever. Alright, so that does it for this installment of the Red Jeep project. If you're wondering, you can get compression fittings that'll go right on the end of those tubes there, which will then convert them from just a open end to threads, so there's no problem there. But be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the video, and check us out on Facebook. Link will be in the description. Next, I will be digging into this a little bit more. Here's a preview. Here's the bracket that I made, but I'll go into that in more detail next time.